2, 1.
Ooh, welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of Full Press Radio. This is October of the 4th, 2021. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
Happy October, Carl. It's like hockey season is upon us.
Literally, I mean, we are a week away from having actual hockey.
I have hockey on my TV right now. Doesn't mean anything, but I have it.
Yeah, my football team's playing tonight, so I've got the Chargers game on.
Well, did you watch the Jays last night? Yesterday?
My goodness, it was a great sports day.
Yeah.
I want to say that first. I mean, I had all 4 baseball games on. I didn't have the Seattle game on because that got out of hand early. I had all 3 baseball games on: Jays, Yankees, Red Sox. I was so excited about the Jays, obviously, and was happy about the Nationals beating the Red Sox for 7/9 of that game, and fell apart late. And it was a mix of like, but that was really fun, but also crushing. And I think that's good. That's a healthy sign of where I'm at with my fandom.
It was kind of a great sports weekend because they had to win out this weekend, and they did. Like, the Jays did their job.
They did. They just didn't get the help they needed.
And it was like, what a dramatic fashion for it all to end. You know, the Yankees with the walk-off in the 9th, the Red Sox with the home run. I think that was in the 9th as well.
Yeah, it was all too much. Didn't particularly enjoy it, but it was fine. And I look forward to next year for the Jays. We got hockey starting up though. I mean, I looked at my phone this morning, opened the Score app, and saw Raptors, Avalanche, and Chargers all have a game tonight. It's a great day.
It's back, man. We're back in the season.
Yeah, we've got
There's a bit of a chill in the air now.
Hey, you're wearing a hoodie instead of your usual shirtless podcasting.
The heat was. That's true. It's a good thing we're an audio medium. Otherwise, we get nobody watching.
That's not true. We would get everyone watching.
But bit of a chill in the air. The summer heat's gone behind us.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's arena season.
But even though summer's behind us, you still did do some summer movie club watching this weekend.
Oh, did I ever? But that's part of why it was such a great sports weekend. Because look, we've been teasing this for a few weeks now because we were both so excited to watch it. The Maple Leafs All or Nothing released, I believe, on Friday on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched all of it. It was finger licking good.
Really? All the herbs and spices were there?
I mean, mostly because I got to watch it with the massive Leafs fan. So that was fun for me. PSA for everyone out there who's going to watch it with the Leafs fans: don't call them dramatic halfway through the series. That did not go over well.
Was the response from that Leafs fan dramatic, one might say?
Yeah. Well, through the whole series, like every episode is just shaking her head. She's sighing. She's like, I don't like this. I'm like, dude, it happened already. What are you being so dramatic for? And that didn't get a good response. We didn't watch any more that night. I had to wait 2 days to finish it.
I do appreciate that there is very few ways that you would get a metered response from calling someone dramatic. Like, yeah, like it's either I'm not dramatic and I'm going to tell you in every single way why I'm not, or like, yeah.
But like, so speaking of drama, it made that series very weird because they tried to infuse it with drama, but you kind of knew what happened already, right? So like they'd be trying to make these like mid-season games and like losing streaks and winning streaks, these like big dramatic things. And you're like, none of this matters because they made the playoffs. Like, you don't have to sell me on how exciting this was during the regular season. I lived it already. So it was weird. I'll give you my quick review of it. Production value was okay, I'd say. For most of it, it felt like just like a highlight clip show. There wasn't that much. You know, on HBO's 24/7 series, they really go home with the players and they go out on their nights out and, you know, kind of get a slice of life of what life was like away from the rink.
Yeah.
They didn't get that here. And a big part of that is because they filmed this during the COVID season.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't that much, that probably not that much allowed. So there were certain episodes where I just felt like I was kind of watching a clip show with audio of Sheldon Keefe swearing over them. Speaking of, heavily featured in this is Sheldon Keefe.
Which, I mean, he got an extension, so obviously the Leafs are happy with him. The insight that you got from Chief Keefe was that he a good coach?
It's hard to say based on what I saw. I wasn't very high on Keefe going into this series. I don't think he made me like him anymore. I'd say he gave a pretty inspired speech going into overtime of Game 6. Other than that, nothing he did really jumped out to me. I actually thought he handled some of the players with kid gloves a little bit.
Well, no more for that because you need to. But I mean, I actually did not have a chance. There was so much other sports happening this weekend that I went with the live sports option instead of the recorded one. But what I heard from some reviews from Leafs fans was that this was, I mean, the players are like very fragile emotionally on that team.
Very much so, especially getting to the end of the series and to the playoffs. And, did you know Paul MacLean was part of their coaching staff?
The Walrus.
Yeah. He's one of the not on the bench coaches, but he said something very poignant towards the end of, going into Game 6 or 7 of the playoffs. They were sitting in on a coaches meeting and he said to Sheldon Keefe, you got to figure out a way to get Matthews and Marner going. He's like, they have to exercise these demons. He's like, they got demons everywhere. They got demons under the bed. They got demons in their car. Everywhere they turn, there's another demon, and they got to figure out a way to get over that. And I turned to my wife. I was like, make him the head coach. That's the guy.
I mean, yes, to know that, but he also didn't have the solution. He's like, hey, you got to figure out. I don't have a way.
Well, he was basically saying you're the coach. You have to go talk to them about this. And he pointed out the problem. He didn't really have a solution
right
in place for it. But I thought it was interesting to get into some of those coaches meetings and GM meetings. Like that one in particular was interesting. They brought the cameras into a meeting where Kyle Dubas let Jimmy Vesey know that he was being put on waivers. You were in the conference room while he was negotiating the Nick Foligno deal with the Columbus GM, whose name's slipping my mind right now. Kekalainen. So there was some cool stuff like that. I can only imagine what was left on the cutting room floor that people would really find interesting.
The real juicy bits are left out.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I certainly will watch it, look for it. If you watched it, let us know your thoughts. If you liked it, if it changed your view of the Leafs at all. Certainly, I mean, I think we know that they need to step up their game this year. We knew it already. And Paul MacLean also knows it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Leafs respond this year.
For sure. Big news. We're going to get to the news of the week first. Then we're going to preview the Metro division. I might have figured out at least who's going last in the Metro, and I've picked someone to win it. Everywhere in the middle, I'm still got a toss up for me.
Oh, you picked someone to win it?
Yes, and now that you've looked at me like that, I might even change it. Who knows?
I think this is going to be the hardest division.
It is, and yet we've got a bunch of news to cover, and it's going to be after the break. So let's get into it. Robin Lehner dropped a bomb that has rattled the hockey world through and through. Players continually speaking out on it. Coaches, GMs, Gary Bettman had thoughts on it, and it all stemmed from his Twitter. And he started with this: is it common for workplaces to give out benzodiazepines? Nailed it, obviously there. Is it common for them to give those out to employees when they travel and Ambien? Should that not be done by doctors or psychiatrists? Asking for a friend. This doesn't happen in Vegas, to be clear, but I know many other teams. I also been in on teams that do. Hashtag Philadelphia Flyers, dinosaur coach treating people robots, not human. Fire these dinosaurs. Fire Vigneault, first story. I got proof. Try to shake your way out of this. They say Ambien is sleeping pill. It's funny that rehab told me that's why. They don't have REM sleep. 8 years, no REM sleep. But yeah, just sleeping pills. So that kind of started the whole thing. And if you go to his Twitter, we see a whole slew of things. But that's really what got this whole thing on NHL teams and then their medication policies going.
And it was all in response, I believe, to what's going on with Jack Eichel.
I think so. I believe what also came out subsequently was rumors, and I haven't seen confirmation of this, but Nolan Patrick and his treatment from the Flyers over the last year, his treatment of obviously concussions and things like that with the Flyers.
Yeah, which Robin Lehner never specifically spoke about. It's like we're in such early days of this right now. It's hard to kind of sift through what's legit and what's not, I think. And even the way that Lehner was tweeting, I'm like, the whole Flyers thing to me kind of came out of nowhere. Like, is he saying that Alain Vigneault was giving people sleeping pills? I don't think so.
It is. I mean, that's what I took from it. It seems like that there is some sort of Alain Vigneault pushing or finding ways to get players treatments that are not doctor approved.
Yeah. I think like stepping out of the words and the tweets and taking a bigger picture view of this, I have to say, I wasn't surprised to hear that. I wouldn't have been surprised to hear that this was happening. But to have an actual player who's in the game right now come out and word it this way was kind of jarring. It kind of made me look at myself and say, like, I'm not surprised this is happening, but why was I okay with it happening?
Well, we've known that it's happened, right? We've seen this with, like, I think back to the Enforcers, right? And we saw Daniel Carcillo talk about this with Steve Montador and his time with the Blackhawks, which Robin Lehner also spent time with the Blackhawks, and the Hawks organization has a lot of things they've swept under the rug that are coming to light that aren't the best right now.
But this has got to be common across the league, across leagues in general.
Oh, I think every professional sports league has this to some extent. Absolutely.
Right. Not saying that's right or good, but I think that it's something that, like, we've accepted as happening. We just didn't really want to open our eyes to it or speak about it. Right.
Well, and did you see Vigneault's response to it?
Yeah, I did.
It was arguably the worst response he could have had. His response, and I'm going to direct quote him so as not to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know the young man. He said that I was a dinosaur. I consider myself experienced. Dinosaur? You can say that with experience, you become a dinosaur, maybe. I do know that I've been coaching a few years. He's now 5 sentences into this, and his real focus is being called old. I am tough. I am demanding, but I care about my players. I want their best. Through the years, some guys have liked me and some guys a little bit less, but I've done it with the best intentions, with respect. Nowhere in that does he say, I didn't do that. I didn't push medicine on someone else. I didn't do the things that he's accusing me of doing. I was doing the best that I could for the players.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be responding at all if I was Vigneault.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, that doesn't sound like a lawyer curated answer.
No.
But he should have talked to a lawyer first.
Absolutely. He should not just be responding to that kind of stuff. But Lehner, like, he never played for Philadelphia, did he?
No.
He never played for a Vigneault coach team.
But Nolan Patrick is now a Vegas Golden Knight. Vegas. So
maybe that's where that's coming from.
Can be hearing those stories and now being on the other side of it, sharing that perspective.
it's pretty gutsy. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. I appreciate that he's doing it, but it's pretty gutsy for him to start to speak out about, on behalf of his peers and colleagues, similar to what he was doing with Jack Eichel a couple days ago too. I commend that. I think that's very good of him to come out and say the things that nobody else wants to say.
Well, and like even Gary Bettman's response, right? He came out today and said, you don't have to tweet to get our attention. We have a 1-800 number you can call. You can call us directly. We're an open book. You're not an open book. Don't even try.
Yeah, that's garbage. When has the NHL ever been an open book?
Like, really? That's what you're going to feed us? Oh, you don't have to air your dirty laundry? No, we do have to air our dirty laundry because that's the only way that you care.
When it goes public, it's the only way to get their attention.
Unreal. I mean, I think these athletes, they put their bodies on the line. Some teams do better jobs than others, taking care of them, helping them get back. And I think in the long run, we'll find out who those teams are that do a better job.
Yeah. And, I think it's just about being honest with people who are being treated with what they're being given and what the side effects are and what the potential risks and benefits are of that, of that treatment. That's where they got to get to. It sounds like that's not really happening.
No, it is not. And I think I look forward to that happening because that's not what they've signed up for. And that's not proper. I've seen people label it as like medical malpractice.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is, but certainly isn't good practice.
Yeah. No, definitely not.
Well, we'll see this is far from the end of the story. So as the weeks go by, we'll hear more.
Oh yeah. Because Lehner's talking to the PA, he's talking to the league. And all these stories are coming out now. So we shall see, Carl.
We shall see. We'll see what Alain Vigneault has to say next. What random point from an Robin Lehner comment will he really zone in on? That's not the point.
Yes.
Team Canada. The Olympics are coming, and we have our first players announced to the team. They took some big leaps in announcing these this early. Kind of some fringe players that you might have heard of.
Some real dark horses.
Yeah. So they announced Sidney Crosby, who's he's not even playing in the league opening night. I don't know why they've announced him to the team. Connor McDavid and Alex Pietrangelo. So there we go. Those are the first three players named to Team Canada.
I'm assuming that that's going to be their leadership core in terms of C, A, and A.
Hey, that sounds accurate. You got to give Crosby the C for this one.
I would think so.
And then, you had to get a defenseman. Obviously, Connor was going to be part of this because he's the future of international hockey in Canada. So, and I look forward. As more teams start giving these roles out and as it starts to trickle in, I'm excited. I'm excited for international hockey and for a big old tournament again.
Do you think that somewhere Chris Kunitz just turned his phone off of silent so he doesn't, because he's worried about missing a call?
He's turned on all notifications on Twitter for Hockey Canada. It's got to be coming.
How long until he texts Luongo? Hey, I just want to make sure you have my right number.
It's it's Chris here.
Cooney here.
Chris Pronger. Oh, you want a coach? Maybe, sure. We could find a spot for you. We have so much time. We don't have to talk about this right now, but I'm curious to know who the Chris Kunitz is going to be of Team Canada this year.
But we can debate Olympic rosters at another time.
Is it not Zach Hyman? How many goals does Zach Hyman have to have on McDavid's wing to make Team Canada?
Oh, I don't think he even needs to have that many. I think if through the first 10 games of the season, McDavid's yo, this is my guy, he'll be on that team.
Right?
100%.
Yeah.
Is Zach Hyman Canadian or American?
He's Canadian. He's from Toronto.
He is, eh?
Yeah. Which also, I just double checked that week. And interestingly enough, Wikipedia lists Zach Hyman as Canadian author Zach Hyman, which I
because he writes children's books. Did you know that?
I did. But I just appreciate that that's the first thing that he's known for. Like Zach Hyman, noted author, and also he plays hockey on the side.
He's also, I learned this from the documentary, part of the Maple Leaf super secret coffee club.
Ooh, I like coffee. Tell me more.
They got a couple trainers who are, the guys normally just go to the lounge and get Tim Hortons coffees, but they got a couple trainers who are into like good coffee. So it's evolved into, they have this like traveling case that they pack like French presses and pour overs and espressos into. And a couple of the players grew interested and they've been teaching them all about good coffee. Zach Hyman's one of them.
Ooh, well, I can get in on that.
There you go. Now he's going to teach McDavid.
And that's why he's coming, because he's McDavid's like, I can't get ready for a game without my Hyman coffee in the morning. I need Zach there.
McDavid's like, look, guys, we don't know what coffee's going to be like in China. If we bring this guy with us, he'll make the best coffee for us every morning.
I mean, that sounds like a winning recipe. Last piece of news for the week. The Vancouver Canucks managed to actually get some players signed. They're restricted free agents. They finally pulled it off, Nick.
Yeah, finally, but I'm kind of disappointed that it happened.
Like,
it was the most boring outcome.
Were you still holding out hope for a Red Wings offer sheet? Is that why?
No, I figure if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. Here's the thing about offer sheets that we always forget. The players have to sign them. They have to want to sign them.
Yes, Elias Pettersson has to be like, yes, I wish to play for the Red Wings.
Yeah, exactly. And then he has to like write his signature on a piece of paper. So, after the initial few weeks of the off season, when it doesn't happen, you're kind of just like, okay, this is probably not going to happen.
Yeah, not until Kotkaniemi goes back to Montreal next year.
That would be fun. So Elias Pettersson gets done.
Yeah.
3 years, average annual value of $7.35 million per year.
The fullest bridge, still an RFA at the end of it.
Yeah.
Looking at the amount, the base salary, that would be what would be the arbitration amount that last year goes all the way up to 10.25. So this is one where he and the team are saying, look, like this is where he's going to be. So that seems like the minimum number for his next contract. Which
I think makes sense.
Absolutely. Three more years down the road, new TV deal.
Yeah. This had the potential, this deal of being very bad for the team. And I think it's, both parties found a way to compromise onto a deal that I think is very good. Yeah,
agreed. I think this is going to be, for both of them, this works out. The Quinn Hughes one also seems pretty in line with what would be expected.
I thought he sold himself a little short, Quinn Hughes. Like he got, how many years did he take? 6?
6 years, just under $8 million. Cale Makar signed 6 years, $9 million. Is he $1 million a year worse than Makar? Probably.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's a tier below Makar.
And for two guys, they came in the same time, extensions the same time. 9 was never happening for him. So
no, yeah, I agree. No, I think both of these deals are very good. Probably right where they should be. There's not really any overpayment happening. I'm not worried about term on either of them.
No, and then the Canucks will have, because they could not afford to give Pettersson $10 million now.
No.
Right? That bad money comes off the books and they're able to do that by the time 3 years are done. So by then they'll be able to fix it and have him. And this kind of is, it seems like if he's open to that idea, it seems like he's happy with the organization and willing to stick around.
Yeah. I think the team's in a pretty decent place right now. I can't remember where we rank them in our, I say this team's in a decent place every year and it never ends up well for me. But they're better than they are last year.
This year, they're not going to miss like 3 weeks because of COVID. Probably.
That's true too. Man, I forgot how hard they got hit by that last year.
Like we're playing the playoffs and we still got Flames Canucks games happening for some reason.
Yeah. That was bad. Plus you had Ekman Larson on the back end.
Yeah.
Step forward.
Absolutely. All right. Let's take a break here. We'll be back on the other side, giving us plenty of time to sort out the Metro division.
Excellent.
Three, 2, 1.
And we're back. I was kind of hoping we wouldn't have to come back to do this because I don't know how we're going to agree on anything.
There is at least one thing I think we can agree on.
Okay.
I think there's at least one team that we'll agree on.
Okay.
And from there, who has any idea?
Are they at the top or the bottom of the division standings?
I assume that we can have consensus on the worst team in this division.
Okay.
Can we not?
I think so.
Okay.
There's two. There's like an 8 and 7, right? That are pretty clear.
I think 1 and 2 are pretty set in my mind.
Okay.
I keep flip-flopping on the order of them.
Okay.
8 is pretty set in my mind. And I could be convinced of anything from 3 to 7 could flip-flop.
So you want to start with 8 on 3. We both say the name of the team we think is 8.
Wait, can we first, before we do, because it's been like 2 years and an entire pandemic since we had a Metro division. I want to remind everyone who is in this division. Okay. So in alphabetical order, we got Carolina, Columbus, the Devils, the Islanders, the Rangers, the Flyers, the Penguins, and the Capitals. Okay. So that's our division. I'm ready to 3, 2, 1 this if you are.
Okay. You want a 3, 2. Okay. I'll count it down. 3, 2, 1. Columbus Blue Jackets. All right. Woo! So far, so good.
All right.
So Columbus has lost now Nick Foligno, who, by the way, comes across as so wholesome in the Leafs series. Good reason for being my favorite player.
Mm-hmm.
You looked at me like it doesn't matter that they lost him.
That's who you're starting with, though. Like you're listing, like here's all the pieces they've lost.
I have Seth Jones next. I'm just going off the top of my head.
Okay.
Nick Foligno's top of mind for me. We share a first name.
Okay.
Seth Jones.
Yeah, he's a pretty big piece.
And Cam Atkinson.
And John Tortorella.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't even thinking coaches, but sure. I mean, I don't think John Tortorella was very effective with this team anymore anyways. So, like, they're probably in a better place without him.
Probably. But they still have, I mean, who has any idea if Brad Larson is going to be more successful?
I didn't even know what his name was.
Well, now you do. It's Brad Larson.
I think he's going to have a hard time being successful with this roster.
It is a tough situation for him. So they added, those were the losses. They brought back Jake Voracek in the Cam Atkinson deal.
Atkinson deal, yeah.
Outside of that, and Jake Bean from Carolina.
Yeah.
That's really it that they brought in. So they replaced Seth Jones with Jake Bean, which, I mean, Jake Bean's great. But Atkinson, Voracek, coin flip.
Yeah, agreed.
So this team that was bad last year only got worse and is now in a much tougher division, like top to bottom tougher. I mean, they had like some very good teams in that division last year with Columbus, but top to bottom, this is a tough one.
It's crazy that this is the team that knocked the Maple Leafs out of the first round of the playoffs 2 years ago. It's crazy that this is the team that swept the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round 3 years ago.
And both the Leafs and the Lightning are... it isn't surprising because they like loaded up for that Lightning one, right?
They did.
We knew that was going to be a team. The Leafs one is surprising. And now 2 years and they're contending with the Sabres for worst team in the league. Yeah.
It's just funny how fast that turns. And, like, it's nice, I think, for them that they managed to lock up Werenski. It's nice that they managed to lock up Merzlikins. I'm having a hard time with the names today because this team has so much trouble holding on to good players. Everyone wants out of Columbus.
It's true. Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of why they are here now, because they lost Panarin. They lost Bobrovsky, although it's not like Bobrovsky's gone on to bigger and better things. They've lost Dubois, although you bring in Laine, maybe a bit of a coin flip there too.
Yeah. And I mean, their whole time, right? You can go all the way back to Rick Nash.
Yeah.
See all the guys that have come in and won it out. So I think we've seen enough from Kekalainen that he knows how to build a quality roster. He's the GM that this team needs. Trust in that moving forward and look for him to continue to build.
Well said, Carl.
All right.
Next.
You were very certain about a 7th team then.
Yeah. By the way, before we move on, I just wrote Columbus and I spelt it Columbus. Okay, 7th place team, New Jersey Devils.
I can get behind this, but I could also see them. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I could get behind. I would listen to the conversation of them being in that playoff area.
In the playoff area?
Like, I don't think they're going to embarrass themselves this year is what I'm saying.
No, I don't think so either, but I don't think they've taken a big enough step forward to completely not embarrass themselves and put them firmly in that playoff discussion.
Okay, I cannot. So this is what I need to know. We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
And you were all about Jonathan Bernier.
Yeah.
How is he not with the Jonathan Bernier love last week? How is he not enough to take this team to where they need to go?
Jonathan, I thought we got to a point last week where we said it's not very common for goalies to perform as well as he did this late into their career after everything he's been through. He was on a very bad Detroit Red Wings team, and he did very, very well. We went through the stats. Who did we put him up against? We put their 2 stats side by side.
Wasn't it Thomas Greiss?
It was Thomas Greiss, the other goalie in Detroit. Jonathan Bernier was good last year. If he can be good this year, good, not great. If he can be good, then maybe they'll push for a wild card spot. Maybe they'll be in that conversation.
Okay. So you think like they'll be better than what they had last year with like Mackenzie Blackwood in net though?
Yes.
Okay.
Plus they added Dougie Hamilton to the blue line.
Well, that's the big piece, obviously, right?
Yeah.
That him now with you putting them at 7 then, do you think that, because I look at this and I mean, there's very few people signed long-term, right? They got Nico Hischier is the only one.
Yeah.
Jack Hughes is getting a big deal after this year.
Yeah.
They got Luke Hughes coming in. PK Subban's deal is up after this year. We've seen him traded multiple times. What would you expect him to get at the deadline?
PK Subban?
PK Subban.
I don't think it's going to be as good of a return as it could have been 4 years ago for PK Subban.
Oh, I think
PK Subban was always kind of overvalued.
So what are you thinking? Like, because his bad contract kind of gets negated come deadline time, right? They can take in on half of it, and I assume that they will in whatever trade they do.
Couple seconds, second and a third, something in that.
That's kind of what. Yeah, that sounds about right. Or like a second and like a prospect that'll turn into nothing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I would expect from that.
This is a team that I like. I think last year I said that I expected more from them, and then they failed. And I'm doing it again this year. They're like, I would have put them higher than 7, but I don't know. That's my problem. I want to put them higher than 7, but I don't know who else I would put in at 7. And that's my problem.
I feel like if you're talking about selling, one of your top 4D at the deadline for draft picks, you're probably not in playoff position yet.
That sounds like a good criteria to use. Absolutely.
Plus goalies have the potential to just be meh. But if Jonathan Bernier can continue his play, he will be a good goalie.
If Jonathan Bernier can finish his rise to greatness, watch out, world. All right, then. So this brings us to the top 6 in this Metropolitan division.
Oh, this is where it gets dicey.
This is tough. Now I've got 2 teams sitting here. One of them has a dinosaur for a coach. The other one used to have a dinosaur for a coach.
I mean, I get the reference, but also like all NHL coaches are kind of dinosaurs. Maybe with the exception of Chicago's guy.
Yeah.
Where else did Vigneault coach in this division?
The Rangers?
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I would put Philadelphia below New York, I think.
Okay. Would you put them at 6?
Yes, I think so.
I think I also would put them at 6, especially with what's currently happening with this team. Do you think Vigneault lasts the year as the coach of this team?
No. I think that it kind of feels, just based on what some of these players have come out and said in the media the last couple of years, it feels like there's a little bit of friction on this team in the room between the players and the coaches, between the players and management. I kind of felt like that was part of the reason Voracek just didn't work out. There just seems to be a lot of frustration there.
Well, and granted, performance hasn't been there, but we've even seen like JVR was a healthy scratch many times last year.
Yeah.
And like we've seen Jake Voracek, we've seen like all these guys be healthy scratches, and then they come back and have great success. And it's like, there's got to be a better way to get that success through, right? Hire Paul MacLean to be able to say to you, hey, you got to talk to these guys.
They got to exercise their demons. They got demons under the bed. They got demons in the car. I just really like the speech. It like nailed exactly what was going on. Anyways.
I mean, I thought you were going to start rapping there for a second. I was like, I know that it's not the end of the show, but I was ready.
I thought Paul MacLean was going to start rapping too.
That would be appointment television. I would turn off this show right now and go watch All or Nothing. If Paul MacLean rapped, how have I not heard about this already?
That would actually be amazing. But like, speaking of demons, like if any team has them, this is one of them, right?
Absolutely.
Like this is like Claude Giroux. He's 33 now. Like I remember when this guy was beating up on Sidney Crosby and the Penguins in the playoffs and going to conference finals and Stanley Cup finals. And now we're talking about them as bottom 3 in the division.
And with those demons being there, like his deal's up this year. I wouldn't want to be back if I was him.
No,
I can go somewhere else. I wouldn't blame him in the slightest.
Yeah, no, me neither. And they shipped out 2 guys this offseason who, Nolan Patrick, first overall draft pick, probably should have been a star. Second overall draft pick. Who was first that year?
You sure?
Well, I was getting them mixed up because Patrick was supposed to go first.
Yeah, and neither of them were all that exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so second overall draft pick. Who's the other guy, the defenseman they shipped out? Gostisbehere.
Yeah, Shane Gostisbehere.
Did he win the Calder, or was he just like a finalist that first year?
Yeah,
like
finalist.
Again, very highly touted prospect. Probably should have been a star. Wasn't.
Another guy in and out of the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's something that's not clicking here. Now they brought in Ryan Ellis, which I thought was an improvement. It's a great deal for them.
Yeah.
They then negated all those good feelings by bringing in Rasmus Ristolainen.
Also that.
Which was not so much a good deal. And then it's like, they were like, I guess we needed more of a veteran presence in the room, so let's go get Keith Yandel. Like,
I like the Yandel pickup. The Yandel one, like he's making $900K. That's like,
it's not expensive.
The least risky deal imaginable.
He's
doesn't work
useful,
out, he's gone.
I guess.
Their blue lines completely changed because I mean Justin Braun, Keith Yandel, Ristolainen, Ryan Ellis, like these are all guys that are coming in, making that weren't here a few years ago, but offensively the exact same that they had before. Carter Hart had a down year last year, and they need him to really bounce back to be able to be back to what they need to.
Absolutely, they do, and they went and picked up Martin Jones to back him up.
So he really needs to be able to play like 70 games for them to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Was it Martin Jones last year? It wasn't.
No, Brian Elliott last year. I'm 99% sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So like they're, if I'm a Flyers fan, I'm really hoping Carter Hart can take a step forward.
Yeah. All right. New York Rangers up next then?
We can talk about the Rangers.
Interesting.
See, this is weird to me. I'm like, the Rangers, the Penguins, and the Capitals. Okay. The Capitals and the Penguins.
So we have agreed on the top two then, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent.
If you think that the Islanders and the Hurricanes are 1 and 2.
Yes, because I do not have them open on my screen. I just keep closing the tabs of the 4 teams that I had in the middle. Okay. I still have open Rangers, Penguins, Caps.
I feel like if they're doing mountain climbing, the Capitals and the Penguins are on their way down the mountain, and the Rangers are on their way up. And they're almost at a point where they're meeting on the mountain. I just don't know how far down the first two are and how far up the range. Like, are they in the same spot? Have the Rangers now climbed higher? Are they higher up the mountain? This is where it gets tough for me to evaluate.
It's true. And like, what kind of equipment do they have? Do they have proper tents? Like it's going to take a while for you to climb that mountain. You better have the necessary pieces.
So let's look last year. Gatorade, because Crosby and Ovechkin have pretty big Gatorade deals.
It's true. So we look at this division last year, and these teams were in the East. They were all the teams in here were the same. The Hurricanes and Blue Jackets were in the Central. So we swap out Boston and the Sabres. Last year, Carolina won the Central, is what it was called. They would have won the East. They would have won the Metro division. Okay. Penguins, Capitals did win. They finished tied with 77 points, 3 points back of the Hurricanes. Islanders were below them. So it seems for me to look at that and to say, and the Rangers finished 17 points back. I don't think that on a full 82 game schedule, the Rangers have made that big of a jump and these teams have taken that big of a step down. I do think that the Rangers are taking a step forward and these teams are taking a step back, but I don't think it's there yet.
Yeah. Okay. I agree mostly. I mean, I look at some of these players on the Rangers roster and you kind of see some of these names and you're like, oh, they're going to be great, but they're not there yet. Are we concerned about someone like Capo Caco?
I think after this year, I'll be concerned about him. But his rookie year, he was someone that to be excited about still.
Yeah. And then he had a bit of a down year last year.
That year, I try not to hold that season in general against many players.
That's fair.
Especially one who's like trying to adjust the league and is like, all right, you're not allowed to hang out with anyone outside of the games. And it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. And then there's Lafreniere, who I think, he had a pretty decent rookie season. Nothing to be concerned about there, I don't think.
Again, a very tough rookie year, especially coming in straight from the draft, straight from the queue, to be coming in and have to deal with that. That's tough. Yeah,
but he produced better than Kako. Like, I think that's encouraging for that player.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So I think I look at them and I think that they're going to be better. They will be better than what was essentially like a point a game last year. I think they can look at, being fringe 90 points, which will put them in the wild card race.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they're going to make it.
Agreed.
On the same hand, and before we wrap this up, because I think back to where it's been a long and weird offseason, but we think back to the Rangers and everyone who got fired with this team last year, right? The coach, GM, like everyone's gone from this. So this is like the Flyers. We talked about the Flyers having drama and issues. This team's still not over those, right? You got Chris Drury in charge now. You've got Gerard Gallant in as coach, which is great, but who knows?
You're right, man. I totally forgot about all that drama. And they went out and got Ryan Reeves for their Washington Capitals problem.
Reeves versus Tom Wilson. I'm ready for that.
Do we know when the first game on the schedule between these two teams is? Because that might be worth watching the first 10 minutes of that game.
Deployment, just the first puck drop.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch the whole game.
I think you could safely just like look at the starting lineups when they're posted and decide if you're going to watch that.
Yes, absolutely. You should know. October 13th.
So soon. That's opening night.
That's the first night of the season, of the regular season.
Opening game for, at least for the Caps. I don't know if that's the first game for the Rangers, but.
Did the league do that on purpose?
Absolutely they did. Yeah. They know what they're doing.
They love the fighting. The NHL loves the fights.
No, they don't. Gary Bettman has said that, look, if you ever have an issue with fighting, just call our 1-800 number. We can talk about it. Okay. But no players do. No players have issue with it. And so we just do what we do.
Well, there you go. Wednesday, October 13th. Watch the first, you know what? I'm not even going to say 10 minutes. Watch the first 5 minutes of Washington, New York.
Wednesday the 13th. It's like Friday the 13th. But
I get it, but it's... All right.
Halloween's, yeah, let's move on. We're down to Penguins Capitals. This is one of these teams is going to be locked in, not fighting for the wild card, according to us. And I don't feel good about either of them being one of that.
I don't know what to do about this one. My gut, I can tell you what my gut says.
Okay, because I'll tell you what my gut says too, but you go first.
My gut says it's going to be the Penguins.
The Penguins that are better or worse?
That are worse.
My gut says the same thing. So
Cool.
Let's do it.
Excellent. We have good guts. We have matching guts.
We have matching guts. And you know what? If this was a video podcast, everyone would know that. But it's not.
How unlucky for the listeners. So going into this year, Sidney Crosby, still a very, 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 very good hockey player, but 34 years old. Evgeny Malkin, 35 years old. Who's the other guy? Chris Letang, 34 years old. That's their old core. Those are the guys that had to keep the team alive for this long, right? And when you look at who's backfilling now, there ain't no young Sidney Crosby on this roster. There's no young Evgeny Malkin.
Like, Jake Gensel is good. But without Crosby and Malkin, Jake Gensel on himself, that's going to be a scary situation.
Totally.
Now, granted, I mean, we'll see it at the start of the year, right? Like, Crosby's going to miss time. Malkin will miss time at some point this year. Letang will miss time at some point this year. They've proven to not be healthy enough to be able to play 82 games. So they will have to deal with that. Their defense is terrifying to look at. I continue. Yeah. I mean, for years, I've looked at this defense and I've questioned who they are. And so it's not gotten better.
And when you got Tristan Jarry and net, and you get a season like you got from him last year, which was not bad. I think it was average.
Yep.
Is this blue line good enough to support an average goaltender?
Yeah, and it's not.
It's not. No. So none of that is very good for the Penguins.
And if we're looking at this, if this is a team that is not in that top three and is looking for a wildcard spot, if we head over to that, the Atlantic division, which they're going to be up against, right? Tampa, Toronto, Boston, Florida. So they're going to be fighting with the Canadiens for that wild card spot, for that last spot. And I'm not sure that I can sit here. And I know that we put the Canadiens out of the playoffs like 1 week ago.
Yeah.
But I'd be hard pressed right now. I'm literally looking at this, and this is why I thought about putting the Rangers higher. Because I look at this and I'm like, man, that Rangers team could easily beat this Penguins team and make the playoffs.
I still have a hard time betting against Sidney Crosby. Like every year, you're kind of like, he's another year older, and he's still like, but look how good I am at hockey. So that's why I'm not ready to put the Rangers ahead of them yet, but it's close.
I think the reason of what we started at the top of the show with before the break might be one reason why this isn't a year that Sidney Crosby can do it, because he's got to go to the Olympics and deal with all that. And his break, when everyone else is back resting, he's traveling to the other side of the world to play hockey in a different time zone, in international play and the stress and whatever of that. And I know Sidney Crosby handles stress very differently than the average human being, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's like 2 weeks in February, though. How much is that? How much do you think that could weigh on a person? I guess a lot. It's the expectations of your entire country based on what happened last time you were there. It's a lot.
Look, I think that when the entire country is waiting for the next episode of the Fourth Line podcast to come out, then we'll be able to talk about that.
And then we'll know. Yeah.
All right. Well, that brings us to the Capitals, I guess, at 3.
I think so. I think that feels right to me. And the Capitals are still good.
I mean, this is almost the identical team that they rolled out last year.
Yeah.
Kuznetsov went nowhere. Right? After all the talk of him being gone, that the team wanted nothing to do with him. Apparently no one wants anything to do with him. They still have Anthony Mantha that they picked up in that trade with the Red Wings at the
deadline. They'll hold on to him.
Right? He's a good little player. Absolutely, they should.
Yeah.
Ovi's back. Like this team is good. I think net is still their question. They've still got Samsonov and Vanacek, and they could be good. They could not.
Yeah, I mean, that sums it up pretty good. It's going to come down to the goaltending, but at least their D-core is in a better place than Pittsburgh's is.
For sure.
Like I don't know what the stats are for Samsonov, or if Samsonov's even going to be the undisputed starter. He has not played very much hockey. Oh, there he goes. Okay. So again, last year, his stats aren't even as good as Tristan Jarry's, but at least he's got the defenseman in front of him to help him out a little bit.
Right. I mean, you look, I would put John Carlson ahead of Chris Letang. I would put Dmitry Orlov up over who's number 2 on that team, John Marino, like Brian Dumoulin. I'd have Justin Schultz over Dumoulin. I think defender by defender, I think the Blackhawks. Oh my goodness. Capitals are better.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then there's Ovi, who just does not seem to be slowing down.
No.
And every year now, it's just going to be like, how many goals can we get off Ovi's stick?
Yeah. It's going to be, he's hungrier than ever.
He's going for it, man. He's going for the Gretzky record.
Absolutely. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
it's going to be good.
Too. Yeah.
All right. Brings us to the final 2. Islanders, Hurricanes.
Oh, this is a tough one. This one could really go in any direction, right?
Fully, yes.
I think, do you want me to tell you how again, what my gut says?
Yes.
I think number 2 is going to be the New York Islanders and number 1 is going to be the Carolina Hurricanes.
Okay, that's what my gut also says, but my brain tells me something else when I think about it more.
Okay, tell me what your brain says.
Well, my brain says that the Hurricanes replaced a very good Nedeljkovic with Freddie Anderson and Antti Ranta. My brain tells me that they lost Dougie Hamilton and replaced him with Ethan Bear. My brain tells me that offensively, they added Kotkaniemi. That's great. But as a whole, this roster, I'd look at it and it's worse than last year.
They took a step back, specifically in the goaltending department. Like they turned over their entire goaltending tandem. All three of them are gone from last year.
Yeah.
And they've replaced them with injury riddled goalies who are inconsistent in play.
Without that third piece behind them.
Yeah. So that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, offensively, they've got it all. They added to what they had last year. Like, I like the makeup of their goal scoring core and the potential there.
Yes, it's still exciting. They're still going to play great hockey. And I mean, Rob Brindamore is the reason why in my gut, I picked them to win. Because, I mean, he managed to make Peter Mrazek and James Reimer be people that you'd look at and be like, yeah, but they got worse because they lost those two.
True. Fair. And they still have Jake Gardiner on this roster too, don't they? I mean, Jake Gardner's not the same Jake Gardiner.
I was going to say, I feel like
the past, but
I feel like he might be on Robidas Island a little bit right now.
Is he LTI retired?
I think so. I hope not, but it has that feel to it.
So then let's talk about the Islanders. What do you like about this team?
Well, they got bigger this offseason. Zdeno Chara's on the team. This is the Islanders team that I wrote off for years and then realized that they're actually good. And Barry Trotz knows exactly what he's doing and can get the most out of this lineup the way that it's been built. And we see it over and over and over again. And I just have put full trust in him.
Yeah, and they added some depth to their bottom six. Their blue line's really good. You know, they added a bit of veteran leadership in Chara.
So you said they added some depth to the bottom six. Outside, like, it was only Zach Parise. Is that correct? They
added Zach Parise. They added, well, I guess at the trade deadline last year, they added Richard Panik, who not great, but fine, I guess. Yeah. Could be worse.
That is bottom six depth. You are correct. Yeah.
Yeah. It could be worse. And then they still like Matt Barzal. I always say this. He's one of the most exciting players to watch in the league. You got Oliver Wahlstrom breaking in. He was very good last year. I very much enjoyed watching him. So they're going to be good for a long time, I think.
If you could, I mean, Barzal is one of them. Another player we talked about this episode, who would you rather watch play, him or Elias Pettersson? Because for me, Pettersson is like top, like, oh my goodness, he's a guy that I want to watch just his shifts and turn off the rest of the game.
Yeah, I'd pick Barzal over him, but that's exactly how I feel about Matt Barzal.
I'm with you.
So I don't know, Carl. I don't know if we've come to a conclusion in a 2-1, you know, New York 2, Carolina 1. Kind of flip-flopped a little bit. I could see it falling either way. So I'll let you have this choice.
Well, I think both of our guts, we've trusted our gut this entire episode. We're going with the gut, and we're both going Carolina at 1, winning the division, the Islanders 2, which will get us, according to us, we're getting another Islanders Capitals playoff matchup.
Great.
And that brings it. We did it. We've previewed the entire National Hockey League season. The only thing left to happen is games.
Which is coming up. October 13th is the start of the season. So we got next week, right? I better pull up the calendar before I start.
I was going to say, because October 13th is not, that's like some teams.
Yeah. So next Monday when we record, we will not have had regular season games, but the following Monday we will have.
Absolutely. I mean, next week we can probably talk some October 12th is when it starts. So that's the Tuesday. So that'll be the eve of the season. Maybe we'll talk some award previews. Maybe we'll figure out exactly which dinosaur got fired for medical malpractice.
There will be some news this week.
Who knows what's going to happen this week? There will definitely be news to be had. So we'll just get into that. And whatever we have time for after that, who knows? But I'm excited. It's going to be a great year. Next week will be our final one. We've previewed all the divisions. You now know you can go. If you're one of those gambling sorts, we've told you exactly who to pick for every single division. And we're not even asking for a cut of your winnings. Just enjoy it.
Now go do the opposite of what we said and you'll win all the money.
We had so much at the start of the show. I forgot to mention this, but we're doing our fantasy league again. I'm in, you're in, we're back. Now that like COVID made fantasy hockey a weird thing and it did not bring me joy and I didn't want to do it last year, but we're back.
Yeah. I actually canceled like my own long running league last year because it just too hard with the COVID stuff, but I'm excited to get back into it now. I've missed the daily checking of lineups and free agents.
Which also means that Nick and I are rusty. We have not played fantasy hockey in 2 years, and this is your chance to beat us.
Absolutely. I also like blowing my roster up, so send those trade requests along, Carl.
I do remember that from last time. So our draft is going to be on Friday. Friday evening is the current time for a draft. Talking with most folks in the league, that looks like when it's going to happen. So if you wish to be a part of it, last time we had 16 teams in the league. It was a giant league.
Yeah.
Not one for the faint of heart. And we're not here to, so far, everyone who has messaged us is in the league. Let's see if we need to start making choices, we'll make choices, but send us a message, an email, mail@thefourthlinepodcast.com. DM us on Twitter @fourthlinepodcast. Looking forward to beating all of you at fantasy hockey this year, including you, Nick. I look forward to beating you.
You won't. So keep looking.
Okay. Well, I remember last time that you let me get Nathan McKinnon 3rd overall in the draft. You had some bad auto drafts, I do believe. I
think I had some bad auto drafts. I always draft day is not my best day performance wise because I get really caught up in the chirping of it. And I spend a lot of time in the chat chirping people's picks instead of planning out my own.
I do remember, I don't remember who it was. There was one very, very bad pick that you made that ended up being an auto pick because you were busy chirping.
Yeah, it's very possible. I think it was a player that had already said that they weren't playing. They were going to be LTI retired or something.
Something like that. Who knows? Maybe we'll fire up our a Zoom room. We'll get this in. We're going to have a great time. It's going to be a lot of fun to do one final Fourth Line Fantasy League with all of you. So let us know if you're interested. And we'll be back next week. If you're new to the show, hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you are. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a review. Thank you very much.
It's time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. All or Nothing was a very good show. You can see how Paul MacLean would be a good bro.